Today is DVD rental day, and we have two awesome movies that you definitely need to rent.
Jim Ferguson joins us now with interviews from the movies Heaven is for Real and Cesar Chavez.
Yes, and I highly recommend both these DVD Blu-ray giveaways, which are available this week. Both of them. You know what's interesting, Amanda and Mrs. Grant? So good to see you again.
Good to see you.
They're both based on true stories.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's right, they are,
They're
aren't
both
they?
based on true stories. Beginning with Heaven is for Real, a Nebraska pastor and a great guy, Todd Burpo was his name, played by Greg Kinear in the movie, has a little boy, Colton, 6 years old, who goes through surgery and almost dies and comes out of it, and it has these remarkable stories about how he went to heaven.
Wow.
Yes.
I have goosebumps.
I heard
Yeah.
it's a tearjerker.
I can imagine.
It is a real tearjerker, and Greg Kinear is always so good. A U of A graduate, a little connection right there, and always one of my favorite interviews. And I talked to Greg about Heaven is for Real.
Mommy,
Yes, Colton?
did you know I have a sister?
You didn't know that Cassie's your sister?
No, I have two sisters. You had a baby die in your tummy, didn't you?
Honey, who told you I had a baby die in my tummy?
In heaven, this little girl came up to me. She told me she died in your tummy.
We need to get him in surgery right away.
The pain that I suffered watching my son that close to death.
We're in trouble here. He's much worse. Will you call some friends and pray for him?
The hospital staff said that your son was not expected to survive. Used the word miracle.
Your son had a near-death experience.
He saw things that I can't really explain.
I lifted up and I looked down. Mom was in one room, you were in another room yelling at God.
Greg, Heaven is for Real, bestseller, New York Times, popular all over the world, not just in America, the story. Would you agree with me that this story is just loaded with all kinds of levels?
Yeah, I think you know, any book that stays on the New York Times bestseller list for as long as this one did is obviously tapped into, you know, some sort of universal idea. And, you know, regardless of where you are on the faith or spirituality specter, you've probably wrestled with that question one point or another. Everybody comes with their own vision of what heaven is or isn't, and that is the kind of centerpiece of this movie. I think creates a good starting place.
He's been out there staring for hours.
Is something wrong with Colton?
Why do you say that?
Sometimes he says weird things. I've been here.
I don't think we've been here before, pal.
You had a grandpa named Pop, right?
He died when I was about your age.
He's very nice.
You saw my grandfather? Where did you see him?
Well, regardless how you feel about spirituality, it's a moving story, and I highly recommend the movie.
Oh, it just looks fantastic. I mean, I remember when you were reviewing it when it came out in theaters, and now when you see it all again, it's just like you said, it gives you goosebumps.
Yeah.
That you're like,
Now you can watch it at home, right?
I know.
Good family story. I like that.
And
The
another
family
wonderful story, Cesar Chavez,
Yes.
directed by Diego Luna from Mexico. You know, it's all set in California, but it was shot in Hermosillo, Sonora, just south of us down here, you know. But it's just a great story of Cesar Chavez's life, played by Michael Pena, who grew up in my part of the country in the same neighborhood in Chicago. But Cesar Chavez was born in Yuma, and there's a lot of connection between this man, this great leader for the United Farm Workers, which he created, which ties into Arizona. And I talked to Michael Pena, who stars as Cesar Chavez, just out this week.
All right, let's take a look.
He was from Arizona.
From Yuma, right?
From, yeah, and
they moved to
Delano.
Delano.
But that was to, you know, to work, you know, to California, and it's like, they thought that, you know, that there was so many, there was a lot of jobs, but there was just more people than jobs.
Yeah.
And it made it very difficult.
Very difficult to get any work at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just handed you an interesting article about in Tucson, they're going to celebrate next year Cesar Chavez's birthday. Is a holiday. So
that's amazing.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. I mean, I think we're living in just a special kind of a time, don't you think? Like, I really don't like. We have, you know, Barack Obama's our president. You know, for what like love him or hate him, whoever it is, it's like it's kind of a huge step for America. You know, and you know, even for me, I'm lucky enough to like, you know, get the parts that I'm getting. But 20 years ago, this wasn't the case. You know, it's pretty tough to do any of this stuff. So, I'm a fortunate dude. You know.
Well, we're both from Chicago. I feel I'm a fortunate dude too. But little did you know, growing up on the South Side.
Yeah.
Where I'm from, I went to Mount Carmel, you went to Hubbard.
I went to Marist High School first.
Oh, Marist
and
first,
then,
yeah.
my brother went to Brother Rice, which is in the same conference as you guys. Like
it's John C. Riley, a graduate of Brother Rice. I don't
Oh,
know if
really?
you knew that or not.
I didn't know that. No, but it's in the same
yeah, the
region.
same, exactly. But little did we know we'd be out here in California, and you playing one of the great union organizers in American history.
Yeah, and it was a necessity, you know, like at that time, like just like now, the country's changing, but in a different way, you know, like, you know, my kid, you know, looked over a magazine and tried to make the, you know, the image larger, and I was like, no, that's paper, it doesn't have any paper. You know, it was these farm workers, you know, that like they were just they were cheating these guys out of everything, you know, couldn't take a break, work 15 hours straight, like it was unnecessary.
Excellent.
I highly recommend Cesar Chavez. We named a street after him.
We did.
Here's your DVD giveaway this week.
Excellent, Jim. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you Friday.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
And right now, Jim just gave me Bad Grandpa 0.5 on Blu-ray. If you'd like a chance to win it, just head to our website, TucsonMorningBlend.com, and click on the contest page.
Still ahead on the Morning Blend, we'll talk about a multi-specialty outpatient clinic that is servicing children that need complex care.
And plus, right after the break, we'll meet some ladies that are changing the future for teen girls. That's coming up right after this.